Planting corn, raising cows, decorating. This flash game about running your own farm was one of the biggest games in the world, with almost 84 million active players. And thanks to Farmville, Mafia Wars, and many others, Facebook Games has become the biggest platform on the planet. Except that actually didn't happen. So what went wrong? What stopped Facebook's momentum and kept them from being a dominant force in gaming? Everything was going great until Facebook pissed off the one group of people it couldn't afford to. Now, the reason Facebook Games were so successful in the first place is because when Facebook launched publicly in 2006, it was a completely different company than it is today. Rather than being a portal to the entire world with videos and streams to suck up all your time, Facebook was just an expansion of your current social network, an online extension of school, work, and friends. And in 2007, when Facebook opened up to third-party apps, developers like Zynga immediately took advantage of Facebook's connectivity. Instead of just being notified when your friends posted new photos, you were getting messages that their corn was just planted. And with Farmville's success, lots of other Facebook games were getting noticed as well.
Grandma said she poked you and you haven't sent a poke back.
Dad, I didn't even want to do—
Stan, poke your grandma!
But why did these games get so popular? Why was a message about someone's corn being planted critical to Facebook gaming's success? For starters, these games were social, and it gave adults with free time something to do that made them feel accomplished. They could expand their virtual farm or decorate it and show it off to all their friends online. I think for a lot of people, Farmville was their first exposure to video games. Adults who previously thought gaming was a total waste of time saw just how fun they could be, even if they were playing a glorified chore simulator.
Okay, it says I'm at your farm. Okay, so now just click on the little soil button and then maybe put a sign up to comment on my farm.
How Farmville got people hooked was the constant progression, timers for actions, and social aspects. Farmville was really one of the first popular games that pioneered a lot of the scummy psychological tricks we see in mobile games today. My friend once told me about a vacation she went on with her parents, and her 40-year-old mom was just playing Farmville the whole time because she didn't want all of her crops to die. But if your crops did die, you could revive them with some farm cash, or in other words, money. But unlike games today, one way to avoid paying real money for things in Farmville was to get help from your friends. So players would just spam everyone in their friend list to join them on Farmville. Together you could work in the farm, give gifts to one another, and even own a joint farm. These social mechanics worked insanely well. And in a matter of months, Farmville had over 80 million players. Facebook and Zynga made a great team, and both were just swimming in cash. So in 2010, they signed a 5-year partnership deal, cementing Zynga as Facebook's golden child. Things were looking great, and Facebook gaming was on the rise. But a competitor was rising too, and soon, Facebook gaming would be brought to its knees. Because as I've talked about before, business is cutthroat. And we've all felt the effects, not just in the degradation of sites like Facebook, but in our wallets by corporations losing billions. However, while companies see their fortunes rise and fall, Masterworks' art investing platform is giving you access to an entirely different area of investing. And they've distributed back a total of over $55 million in investor proceeds to date across their 22 exits, plenty of which went to investors who didn't know a thing about art. Normally, you'd need to be a billionaire to invest in art, but with Masterworks, you can invest in shares of iconic artists like Picasso, Banksy, or Warhol. You see, Masterworks' team of art and financial analysts have over 50 years of experience performing the sourcing, securitization, and administrative services, and thousands of members have already signed up to invest in Masterworks blue chip contemporary art. Some past offerings have even had their shares sell out in minutes. But Going Indie subscribers can skip the waitlist and start using the platform right away by using the link in the description below or the QR code on screen. Half of our sponsorship funds are granted to up-and-coming indie studios, so we really appreciate Masterworks for sponsoring this video. Past performance is not indicative of future returns. Investing involves risk, so be smart and see important Regulation A disclosures at masterworks.com/cd. A few years before the peak of Farmville's popularity, a revolutionary technology had come out. The iPhone released in 2007, right around the same time Facebook Games did, and it unlocked the potential for mobile games. The big game changer was the touchscreen. Playing games on your phone with a tiny little keyboard was really limiting, but now the interface could look like anything. By 2009, as iPhones improved and more people had one, mobile gaming got more and more popular. While Facebook Games had Farmville, mobile games had Angry Birds. This game about shooting pigs with birds was a much more enjoyable experience, and it got lots of people hooked. Not to mention, it had a huge advantage over any game on Facebook. Since it was a mobile game, you could play it on the go. You didn't have to be at your computer anymore. Anytime you had 5 free minutes, you could just pull it out and play. So going into 2010, mobile gaming was seriously challenging Facebook games for domination of the casual gaming market. But at the time, Facebook gaming had 3 unique advantages which kept it afloat. Number 1, developers on Facebook could use the platform to bring awareness to their games because the games were in the Facebook ecosystem. Secondly, developers could make more money off microtransactions since Facebook didn't take a cut, giving developers more bang for their buck. And thirdly, devs could access players' account data, stuff like friends lists and pages you liked. These were the 3 pillars holding up Facebook games, and they all benefited developers. But right when 2010 started, Facebook delivered a wombo combo that pissed every developer off. Farmville was constantly on everyone's mind because every single time someone did anything in the game, you were notified. And people got really sick of hearing that Deborah just started playing or about Jim's new corn. Developers loved spamming notifications because they were great at bringing awareness. But you can imagine users hated them. So in January, Facebook cut down on spam posts from games by 95%. Pillar 1, gone. Then in May, Facebook decided that all games on their site would have to use Facebook credits for their microtransactions. Facebook credits were Facebook's own virtual currency. These had been slowly phased in over a couple years, but before 2011, they had been optional. But now, every developer was required to use them, and Facebook would be taking a 30% cut. The icing on the cake was these Facebook credits required you to leave the game you were playing to purchase the credits. This did a number on Facebook game monetization because microtransactions rely on impulse buying, and adding an extra step in the process might give some players enough time to realize they don't want to spend $5 to grow their virtual corn faster. Pillar 2, destroyed. Facebook games was now on very shaky territory. Not to mention, these 2 changes heated up the competition even more between the iPhone and Facebook because Apple wouldn't allow the use of Facebook credits on the App Store. This decision forced developers to pick a platform, no longer able to double dip on both Facebook and mobile. Unsurprisingly, most devs focused their attention on developing for mobile, which left certain Facebook partners like Zynga struggling. You see, when Zynga had its IPO in December of 2011, its shares settled at about half of their expected value, largely because of how dependent they were on Facebook. And nobody knew what Facebook would do next. So when Zynga signed their 5-year agreement and agreed that every game they released would have to launch on Facebook first before any other platform, these changes by Facebook were threatening to kill Zynga's business. And they didn't want to live or die by what Facebook decided. So after this disastrous IPO, Zynga wanted to renegotiate their deal. And at the end of 2012, Zynga and Facebook did exactly that. The renegotiation basically severed all ties between them. Zynga would get treated like every other developer on Facebook, but they could do whatever they wanted now. So Facebook lost their golden boy, and the future of Facebook games was looking rough. But Facebook still had one advantage over mobile games. Developers had very easy access to user data, specifically friends list, which meant games could incentivize you to invite your friends to play. Once again, developers loved this, but Facebook users did not. So in late 2014, Facebook changed their development tools to restrict access to user data. Users now had to give permission for access to their friends list. And with that, the final pillar holding up Facebook games was gone. There was no longer a reason to develop on Facebook instead of on mobile. So most developers shifted their focus to iOS and Android, putting games on Facebook as an afterthought. By 2016, Facebook Games was really on its last legs, and Facebook made the final move that would send it into obscurity. In a last-ditch effort to capture some of the mobile gaming audience, they launched Instant Games, which was a gaming service you could access through the Facebook Messenger mobile app. It had 17 games at launch, mainly old classics like Pac-Man and Galaga. The biggest draw to this were that you didn't have to download or install anything. Every time you booted a game, it would load it instantly. Over the next 2 years, Instant Games got up to 200 titles. And in 2018, they opened Instant Games to third-party developers. But it was too late. Instant Games weren't popular, and they never brought back those glory days of Farmville. Now, Facebook didn't completely give up. They tried to compete with Twitch by starting their own streaming service, but that failed too, and it closed down in 2023. So Facebook gaming was over. It failed hard. Where did it all go wrong? Well, Facebook games blew up because at the time, it was a social hub to connect with your real friends, and the games became an extension of your digital interactions. That, combined with the 3 developer pillars, made Facebook gaming a juggernaut. But almost every advantage Facebook had was frustrating or invasive for users. So over time, as Facebook prioritized the user experience, developers walked away. Not to mention, mobile proved to be a better casual gaming experience. And what's crazy, until making this video, I didn't even know Facebook still had games. But to my surprise, it does. I logged into my account I made back in high school, and I found that Instagames lives on. Now, Facebook says they have 3 billion active monthly users and claim that Instagames sees 350 million monthly players. But a prior report found that they also include players logged into Facebook on their phone while playing a mobile game, meaning those playing instant games is likely a much smaller number than advertised. So who is actually playing these games? Facebook still has one of the largest user bases in the world, and the leap from mindlessly scrolling your feed to mindlessly playing a game isn't that large. Farmville proved that. But Facebook isn't interested in casual games anymore and are more focused on VR. In 2014, Facebook bought Oculus, a VR company, and by 2018, Facebook was having very serious discussions about the metaverse, going as far as changing their name from Facebook to Meta a few years later. But since the name change, VR has been a huge monetary failure. For the last decade, VR has been pretty niche, and not a lot has happened recently. But Meta is confident that will change. What I don't get though is if they think the metaverse is the future, why did they give up on casual gaming? Using the power of hindsight,
Captain Hindsight!
I believe that the failure of Facebook gaming is one of Meta's biggest blunders, but only if the metaverse is the future. Because they have the biggest social media platform in the world, and they just gave up on the casual gaming space, which generates tens of billions of dollars every year and would be the perfect way to introduce people to VR. I could be wrong, but if Meta truly believes VR and the metaverse are the future, they should be reinvesting hard into the casual gaming space. Because right now, the metaverse is a blend of the physical and virtual world, and whoever can organically shift casual phone gamers into augmented/virtual reality gamers would truly dominate the metaverse. Although Facebook gaming has become just a fun piece of history, I believe its downfall will have long-term consequences for Meta. And if you want to know more about the history of VR and Meta's history in the space, go check out my video on why VR can't succeed yet. Thanks everyone for watching. We'll see you next time.